Are you ready to learn how to successfully delegate your social media to your virtual assistant? Stay tuned, of course, until the end of this video for the step-by-step process of what that actually looks like. Now, one of the things that I always come across when it comes to me hopping on calls with potential clients or even current clients that we have at 2XU is that they really want to be able to delegate social media management to their assistant. And honestly, it looks a little bit easier said than done because there's multiple steps that you want to be sure that you give us clarity so your assistant can be effective at it. And the first thing, honestly, is knowing the difference between a social media manager and a marketing EA. Now, social media manager, their focus is only really the platform. So they're not going to be involved in the email marketing, in the creating the campaign. They might be on the content strategy part, but again, their focus mainly is managing social media versus for a marketing EA or VA, they are taking care of the campaigns. They might be running the blog posts, the email. So there is a difference between the two. And most of the time for the marketing EAs or VAs, they're the ones creating content from scratch versus for social media EAs, they might be just repurposing content that's already out there and you've given them guidelines on how to repurpose and to when. So I wanted to put that first in this video because I've had a lot of people who've talked about like, hey, why can't my social media VA, take care of my email marketing? Unless it was talked about, unless you guys have set that parameter that is one of their roles and responsibilities, they won't be able to do that because they might not have the skill, or again, that's outside of what was agreed upon that you guys talked about. So I wanted to put that first and foremost. Let's go into the next steps. So the first thing is choosing the tools that you guys will be using. So this could be the scheduling tools, it could be the graphic tool if they're going to be doing some video editing, maybe the video editing tool. So it's important to set what are the things that you expect them to know before maybe even you hire or you have your EA or your VA doing this, is having that like, hey, I want you to learn how to use Canva, and this is what we'll use for graphics. I need you to learn how to use Buffer. This is what we'll be using, at least that's for us at 2XU. This is what we'll be using for scheduling it, and you'll be using Google Analytics to see where the traffic is coming from, which platform, so we can know which one's best. So it is setting the tools that will make it easier, again, for you to start working with your assistant, rather than not being really sure, you're just leaving it up to them. It has to be a tool that you can use. Just because you're the business owner or the entrepreneur or their manager doesn't mean that you don't understand the tools that they're using. It's important that you are also at least aware how to use it and that you're inclined to use it, rather than just trusting the assistant will just figure out everything else for you. Next is you want to go ahead and start creating the system. Now there's different systems that you want to put in place. First one is your target audience. So who is the target audience for your social media posts, for the account itself? So for example, inside of 2XU, our target audience are coaches and consultants in UK, US, Australia, and Dubai who are making impact basically towards the people that they work with. So these are mindset coaches, fitness coaches, business consultants, basically people who are helping others make their lives a little bit easier and better. And again, for us in 2XU, they're creating value in the world in some way. Now for us, we do have a secondary audience, which are the possible applicants basically coming into 2XU. So we cater and create content for both sides. And it's the same thing as my YouTube channel, where I'm talking to both people who want to start a business and for those who want to start a remote career. So I talk to both ways because again, I do know that different people will be attracted to our content in different ways. Just like in 2XU, we're attracting the clients and of course the really good applicants who are coming in. Next is you do want to create that content strategy, at least at first. You don't want to expect your assistant to know right away what kind of content strategy you prefer. So for example, for me, I have laid it out already when I had our social media manager come in of like, hey, I'm expecting one blog post a week that's repurposed into a Facebook post, an Instagram, a LinkedIn post. We will put on Twitter this and this kind of text or tweets, and then later on we'll explore TikTok. So I put in the different strategy that I had in mind that I wanted to see, but now honestly it has grown beyond me. My social media manager has given a lot of their input of what could be added into our strategy. They've been able to evolve a lot of it to see what actually works and what was just in my imagination, and they weren't afraid to show me the stats of their content versus the content I had in mind to see which one works. And honestly, as a business owner, I would prefer it that way anyway. So you would want to set out with your social media assistant basically what are the parameters, what are the things that they will need from you. So for me, it's creating these YouTube videos, because from the YouTube videos it becomes a blog post, the social media post, so on and so forth. So for me, I have to show up twice a week delivering content for you guys that will then be turned into more content by our social media managers at 2XU. Next is you want to have a variety or one main call to action or engagement basically that you want people to have based on the social media posts. So for example, for us at 2XU, our call to action is having people fill out our 2XU scorecard that walks people through basically if they need an assistant or not in the first place, because oftentimes people just need a freelancer. So that is the call to action in a lot of our posts. However, we do have something called the 200 tasks to delegate to a virtual assistant PDF. We used to have even a webinar, and right now we're even producing a podcast in 2XU. So I've outlined the different call to action that our social media managers can use, can pick from. So then for me, I know when a campaign is working or not. On the links basically that they are given, I can track how many clicks, which platform is coming from. They also just give me a report on it. But then I can see again if our content is working or not without even having to just look at the quote unquote vanity metrics of just the likes and views. I can actually see if people are converting or actually taking action based on the posts that we're putting out. Next is set your target KPI with your social media assistant. So what I mean by that is set the key performance indicators of how you know if they're succeeding or not. So this could be, for example, in 2XU, it's engagement at the moment. We're trying to up our engagement on LinkedIn, on the posts that we do, the reshares, the reposts, people commenting on it, people liking on it. That's currently one of our KPIs. And for some, it could be the number of likes that you have on a page. For some, it could be number of conversions. Again, it could easily be that how many people clicked from our social media posts and actually went into our scorecard. So depending on what makes sense for you and your business, it could be number of signups, it could be people who grabbed your lead generating PDF or book maybe. Whatever it is, it's important to set that with your assistant as early as now. So then as you guys are actually going through, you can make adjustments. The assistant also knows where they're going versus kind of just posting at random, hoping something sticks. They know what it is that they're trying to stick. Next is what I call the 10% test. Now, what a 10% test is basically what is the smallest test the assistant can do to show you that they're on the right path. Rather than them creating a month worth of content, it could be 3 weeks worth of content, testing it out and then seeing if it worked or not. The importance of this is you don't want your assistant to go through a lot of effort, a lot of time spent, a lot of time going back and forth with you maybe even, without showing the minimum results that you need to see if this is something that works. Now, this is usually within their onboarding, like the first 30 or 60 days that you might want to do this of a quicker turnaround back and forth of like, hey, here's the 10% of the work they asked for. What do you think? Do you need to redirect? Do we need to change this? So then you guys are always in sync. And later on, as you give them better and better feedback, the system will basically just start to learn what are your preferences and what content works for your audience. Next is you want to start creating templates. Now, what I mean by this is this could be the templates for the graphics, so then it's easier for you guys to start creating content right away. It could be the template of how you want the caption to be written, or it could be templates of how they will answer to commonly asked questions on the social media profiles. This way, you guys have a uniform way of how you guys are showing up, whether it's the social media assistant responding or even you responding from time to time. Let's say you're on your phone and something pops up, you want to respond to it. At least you know that there is a template that you can just copy and paste and respond to the person who's inquiring. That way, there's shorter buffer time. You can just get things done. And again, there's that uniformed kind of character or caricature that you've created for your brand. Next is creating a daily system. Now, this is within the parameter of your assistant just got onboarded, they're just getting started. You want to create a daily system where they just send you a chat of like, what are their 3 priorities for the day? What are the 3 things that they got done yesterday, the main priority? And then what is maybe a bottleneck they might be going through? The reason why you want to do this, at least for the first 30 days, where it's a daily system, is as they're still figuring out the kinks of your tool of how this works. Oh, they don't have a password to this. Oh, they actually didn't have access to this one. At least you're clearing it out quickly rather than switching right away to a weekly call. You're making sure that they have everything that they need to be able to succeed. Next is then you can switch to a weekly feedback system. What I mean by this is for us to XU, we have every Tuesday at 11:30 o'clock, we have a meeting basically that goes through all of our numbers, our KPIs that we've set, all through our numbers from the last week. So then they can give me a report of how this post went really well, this post maybe not so well, so we can make quick decisions of, okay, let's swap this content for the next content. So it's easy for us to continuously adjust our strategy to make it better and better every single time. And finally, and this is an important step and you definitely shouldn't miss this, is make sure that you document and iterate. What I mean by this is going ahead and creating things like your standard operating procedure, basically your recipe book of how you guys want to show up on social media. Like, how does your assistant schedule things on Buffer? Like, what is the uniform way of doing that? What is the checklist that they follow to make sure that it appears the same every single time? What's the way that you guys can guarantee a repeatable result, especially as you guys narrow down an actual system of how you want to run social media? And basically what I mean by iterate is every time that there is an experiment or something worked really, really well, you want to make sure that you update the documentation that you guys just did, so then everyone else, if your social media EA works more as a marketing EA later on, or they move on to another role, or they leave, at least you have things documented and written down, and it's not, no one is the bottleneck within your business when it comes to the social media part. Now, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there and comment below what platforms are you using for your social media that you're hoping for an assistant to take over. I would love to know. Who knows, maybe other virtual assistants are in my comments right now and they're just waiting for the right client for them. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!